It's always a pleasure to be with you, and a special pleasure to welcome to the program Ann Coulter, the syndicated columnist and best-selling author of In Trump We Trust, Pluribus Awesome. Ann, welcome back. In this column about Harvey Weinstein and why his comeuppance and now his indictment and soon his conviction are to the credit of Donald J. Trump. I think this is fantastic. This is great stuff.
Thank you. It's been occurring to me ever since that story broke. I really don't think it would have happened if Hillary were president. We've been living with this Clinton Caligula lifestyle for all these lefties, really since the 90s. And as I described in the column, it was incredibly incestuous, with Weinstein using his publishing company to come after people like me and Matt Drudge and even Michael Isikoff, people who were on the wrong side of Clinton's impeachment. Hiring private eyes to just for the sake of humiliation. The way the Clinton campaign back in 1992, probably a lot of your listeners don't even remember that, but the way they went after the bimbo eruptions, hiring a cutout law firm to hire detectives to go track these women down and either explicitly or apparently at least implicitly threatening them, getting them to sign affidavits. I mean, as I said in the column, even Teddy Kennedy didn't do that. He never slandered his sexual conquest or attempted conquest as stalkers and bimbos. And I don't have much good to say about Kennedy here. Don't want to put him up on a pedestal, but this Clinton total war to defend sexual predators, that was something that was new, and it was never going to stop. One of the things I loved about Trump was bringing those women who had been raped, molested, flashed by Hillary's husband to one of the debates. And I really think it's not a coincidence that finally the New York Times and the New Yorker were willing to let these exposés run. As I also mentioned in the column, NBC is still living under the old rules, where you can never, ever, ever expose a left-wing sexual predator. Ronan Farrow, he hasn't even said that much about it, but he said enough to know. I hope he does write it up at some point. He was doing all this. He had the Weinstein expose first. He was doing it for NBC News. He was getting it. It was checked out by the lawyers. NBC News kept telling him, stop, 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 and finally just got rid of him. Rather than let him publish his expose of Harvey Weinstein any place near NBC News, so we took it to the New Yorker. I say if Hillary Clinton were president, even the New Yorker and certainly the New York Times would never have bothered looking.
Which means that and the thing I can't know from the outside, and I'm not sure, you're more on the inside than I am, but is how much of the initial tip-off of Weinstein and the things that immediately followed caused other things to come to light.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That was, the Me Too movement. Once this incredibly powerful, wealthy man, when he could be taken down, of course, the Me Too hashtag started. But the fact that it was done, look, Clinton, that was a warning shot. To anyone who would accuse a progressive liberal male. I remember that time, and I think I just had gotten out of law school, and thinking, I never really watched much TV, but seeing like Ann Richards on the Johnny Carson show, or whomever's show it was, I think it was Johnny Carson then, sneering at Jennifer Flowers, or, and how she spells her name. It was just this total class sneering. And of course it was all true, and anyone knew it was true at the time. For those of you unfamiliar with that, Jennifer Flowers came forward and said, I had 12-year affair with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, she had tapes of Bill Clinton, basically talking about the affair with her, saying, well, if you don't admit anything, they can't prove anything. On other parts of the Jennifer Flowers tapes, Bill Clinton insults Mario Cuomo, then governor of New York, saying something like he looks like a mafioso. Clinton apologized to Cuomo for those remarks. So he's acknowledging these tapes are real, and still all of the cultural elites, the Ann Richards, the Gloria Steinem writing in the New York Times, even after a dozen of these scandals, Gloria Steinem launches the one free grope rule, published in the New York Times, this was a warning to people, as that book that I got canceled would have been to anyone who goes against a progressive Democrat. The original Me Too movement was Paula Jones and Juanita Broderick and those of us who supported them. And wow, they never let up in their attacks on us.
No, it was always, it was the old, James Carville line about this is the kind of woman you'd find if you drag a $100 bill through a trailer park. I mean, it was a complete dismissal of them. It was what was it? A thingification, I think was the term, not just objectification, but saying this woman is less than worthy. And so we're just going to simply say, anything she says is not to be believed because she's lower than us on the social scale.
Yes, and to make these people feel pain, humiliate them. The Saturday Night Live sketches of people like Linda Tripp. What, because she told the truth to protect herself and they have John Goodman playing her? That's another thing I got to say I love about Donald Trump. When they were doing those jokes about him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and he just sat there stone-faced. I loved him for that. I am sick of conservatives being good sports for these things. I mean, poor Linda Tripp. I mean, at the time, I remember her saying, oh, no, or I guess her lawyer saying, no, she thought it was funny. Come on, nobody thinks it's funny to be ridiculing a female for her appearance like that in a really ugly way. And by the way, I want your listeners to look this up. It's in the news. Stormy Daniels, who has accused the president, I personally don't believe her accusations, but that's neither here nor there. She looks amazingly like what Linda Tripp looks like now. Because after all those people making fun of her looks, whoa, she lost weight, got herself a haircut, started dressing stylishly. She's quite a babe now.
Well, and so where does all this end up? Because I think the Me Too movement is going to continue to take down people on both sides, but an awful lot of the liberal elite is going to get taken down. I don't assume that this thing is over as we head toward this midterm and then toward 2020. So what are they going to do to shut this down?
Cruz. I think it's Ted Cruz who's saying, come on, you say Congress has paid out all of these awards, let's make it public. And unlike you, Lars Larson, I don't think it's going to be even Steven, 50-50 of each. It certainly hasn't been in the ones who have come out so far.
Hold on. You didn't hear what I said. I said I think it's going to take down people on both sides, but more Democrats, more of the liberal elite.
Way more. Right now, there have been like 90 men so far, and it's running, I'd say, about 95%. Who is the guy? I guess they got Bill O'Reilly and Roger Ailes, and that's it.
Yeah, that's about. I guess you could count. Well, I don't know if you could count Cosby in there because most of that, and because he was a conservative, and in some ways. So I don't know that that would count.
No, we're not counting Cosby.
No, we're not going to count Cosby. But in this case, I agree with you. The only thing is, I don't stake out absolute territory saying it's going to be all on the left, because sure enough, somebody's going to say, well, what about this and what about that? But
no, there will be one or two plus which we want to trick the Democrats, whom I'm sure think just the opposite. They can't learn from experience and notice, wow, these are all hardcore progressive liberal males.
Yep, and if we keep pointing it out, they're going to have to live with it for the next few years. Her column is awesome. You got to check it out. It's Ann Coulter, and the book In Trump We Trust is an enjoyable read. I loved reading it. And listen, I really appreciate you coming on the program.
Good to talk to you. Talk to you next week, Lars.
Take care now. That's Ann Coulter.